I hope the angle and everything is okay. Hello, my name is Anya and welcome to my channel. In today's video I wanted to just briefly chat about my health and sort of introduce a new series that I want to do, which has more to do about disability and not just makeup. I don't really know where to begin. I've written myself a little list of like talking points that I want to talk about, so I just don't go overboard. I am disabled. I've been chronically ill since Christmas 2011, so 9 years this Christmas, and it's been different. It's been difficult. In today's video I'm not going to go through like the timeline since I became sick to now with everything that went on, because I'm going to start crying and I'm going to be angry if I do that. I have things that I have yet to unpack that I've gone through, so I'm not going to do that today. I'm going to briefly chat about my current struggles, my current diagnoses and my main symptoms that I struggle with, and also what I want to do with this series. I kind of wish I had the idea for this before the pandemic began so that I could start and give a baseline before everything shut down, because my baseline has changed in the last couple of months. I am not as healthy as I was last year, and I'm struggling with different things. A lot of them there's a dog here. A lot of them I can pinpoint to when I stopped going to physical therapy, which was in January or February. I have a little poodle on my lap. And I kind of wish I had remembered or thought about doing a video on my health prior to that, so that I had sort of something to look back on. But ever since I've started getting sick in 2011, or I usually count it as 2012 because it was closer to 2012 than it was 2011. That sounded a bit weird, but I got sick so close to 2012 that I sort of just say I got sick in January. It's easier. But my health is sort of, it's been a roller coaster and it constantly changes. My baseline has changed pretty much every single year, for the better and for the worse. And I kind of wish I had something to show for what my baseline was before the pandemic, because I was originally going to do a makeup playtime where I was going to just chat about how my health has gotten worse since the pandemic began, but I thought I might as well make it a separate video instead, because it's going to be easier for me to film. I don't really know where to begin, so I think I'm just going to start from what I've written. The reason I want to do a series on this is because I am disabled. I've been disabled for a big part of my life, with various chronic illnesses and different symptoms, and it's a big part of my life. It's why I do things the way I do. It's the reason I use a wheelchair, a rollator. It's why I need help showering, and it's why I don't work. It's why I can't go to school, why I don't have any education pretty much. And I want to make videos more about disability in sort of a lifestyle sense, not just in makeup. I want to do videos on my aids, mobility aids and stuff, tips and tricks, and how I do certain things now compared to how I used to do them before, and just vlogs where I just show you my life and how I live. And I thought I would give it a small intro just to sort of have something to tie back to. At the moment I have 3 diagnoses in my medical records. My main one is fibromyalgia, which was diagnosed in 2017, and fibromyalgia is a name for a condition of collective symptoms. There's a lot of symptoms and not everyone has everyone, and it varies, but for me the main ones that I deal with is chronic fatigue, widespread pain throughout my entire body, digestive issues, memory problems, cognitive problems, sensitivity to light and sound, and just everything. I also have I have 2 secondary diagnoses of chronic fatigue, as well as IBS, which is irritable bowel syndrome, and those 3 they encompass most of what I deal with. I most of the time though do say that my illnesses are fibromyalgia and ME, which is chronic fatigue syndrome, the other word for it. I can't pronounce it, so I will leave it in the description box. I will leave some links to places where you can get information on what fibromyalgia, what ME and what IBS is, if you are curious. And I usually say I have ME. I was first diagnosed with ME back in 2013 when I was diagnosed the first time. That diagnosis was removed without telling me. I found out in 2017 and went back to the hospital to get re-diagnosed and ended up with fibromyalgia instead of ME, even though the doctors told me that I had all of the symptoms of ME, but because I've also previously had issues with depression, they couldn't diagnose it. Fun. I don't really understand why they couldn't, because there's no rules that say you can't have both depression and ME, but I don't know. So I usually just say ME and fibro, because my health as it currently stands is mostly treated like ME, because my symptoms they are more similar to ME than they are fibro, and it's sort of, my health is treated not necessarily by diagnosis but by how it actually is, and the point comes across a little bit easier if I say ME versus chronic fatigue, because a lot of people have the belief, it seems, that chronic fatigue is just not real, and it's just someone who just hasn't tried hard enough. Same with fibromyalgia, that it's just like, it's not a real condition. And if you're one of those people, it is. And if you're going to go at me in the comments saying it's not real, I'm going to block you. We don't shame illnesses here. And I thought I would also share my main symptoms at the moment to give you a baseline of where I'm at. And I have to read this off a list here, otherwise I'm going to forget something. And I have most likely got more symptoms. I have more symptoms than what I've written down, but I just don't know how to properly name, and I have also forgotten some of them, most likely. Seeing as one of these are memory problems, it's very likely that I have forgotten something here, but as it currently stands, not in list of order, I've just written them down as I remembered them. My main one, and the one that I struggle the most with, is fatigue. It's chronic, it's extreme. It's the reason why I only have a couple of hours in a day when I'm not lying horizontal, either in bed or on the couch, and it's the reason I had to drop out of school 3 times, why I can't work. It's just, yeah, my main issue is fatigue, followed with widespread musculoskeletal pain all over. It's essentially just pain everywhere, both muscular as well as bone pain and nerve pain. It sucks and it's painful, and there's not really much that can be done about it. I am medicated. In Norway, fibromyalgia is usually treated medication wise with Subtitles or amitriptyline, and I take that, and it has been a lifesaver. My pains went from a daily 8 back in 2016 and 17 before I started the medicine to I hover about a 4 or a 5. Anything under a 6 I call manageable, depending on where it is located. If it's in my hands, it's fairly difficult to not aggravate it, because I use my hands a lot. I talk with my hands a lot. I also do things with my hands. I use my phone with my hands, I use my laptop with my hands. It's a bit difficult not to use them, and so my hands are pretty much always in pain. I also have a sensitivity to light and sound. I am filming with a ring light, and I am going to turn it off right when I'm done, because it does hurt my eyes and it makes me nauseous. It gives me a really bad headache and it makes me dizzy. So yeah, I don't like sunlight. That's also one of the things. There's a reason I have dark curtains that are pretty much always drawn shut. My room is always dark. For a reason. It's because light is one of the biggest triggers for me in terms of headaches, but also making my fatigue worse. I can't stand light, so I wear sunglasses a lot when I'm outside. I also live in my cave a lot when it's dark and if it's sunny outside, because I have to, otherwise I can't function. And sound as well, I can't really deal with loud sounds. I can handle loud sounds if I'm the one making them. If I'm in control of my own music and headphones on, I can deal with it. But loud sound, especially like crowd noises in a shopping centre, in the shops, car noises, it just becomes a lot, and instead of my brain filtering it, it just builds on top of itself, and I become unable to hear anything. I have ringing in my ears sort of constantly in the back, and the louder noise that I'm in, the worse that gets, and to the point where I, in the end, can't hear anything at all. I also have unexplained food sensitivities, diarrhea, nausea, stomach cramps. These are tied into the IBS diagnoses. We don't really know why my stomach responds negatively to most foods. I've had daily diarrhea for at least 6 years. I don't really know when it started. I know it was before 2014, so 6+ years. I currently take Imodium and it stops it sometimes, but it's unpleasant and it's difficult to deal with it when there's not really like a single cause. I don't have any allergies that we know of. I'm not lactose intolerant, I'm not gluten intolerant, I'm not allergic to gluten or to milk, but I treat it as I can. My doctor has recommended the low FODMAP diet and I do plan on going on that eventually, but I want to do that with the help of a nutritionist because there's a lot to unpack there, and I also struggle to prepare food for myself. So if I am going to do that, I'm going to need help from someone who is not in this household to prepare the food for me when I'm home alone. Otherwise, I'm not gonna eat, and that doesn't do me any good. I have concentration issues, memory problems, difficulties finding the right word. If I'm really exhausted, I also slur my speech a lot. I also have seagulls living outside, so it's a fun box of things. I also get blurry vision if I strain myself. I'm nearsighted, so I wear glasses or contacts. Today I'm wearing contacts. But if I am pushing myself hard, or if I am in a place that has a lot of sounds, noises and bright lights, I get blurry vision around the edges of my vision. So I sort of end up with like a tunnel vision of sorts where everything on the outside is blurry, and it makes seeing and concentrating on things very, very difficult because it also hurts. Don't really know where it comes from, and when I lie down in a dark room and relax for a bit, it goes away on its own, and I just deal with it as it comes out. I also deal with insomnia, and I have done that for pretty much the entirety of my illness. I have issues falling asleep and I take medication for it. I have done that as well since I guess 2012, maybe 2013. I'm unsure. I've taken 2 or 3 different types of it, and the one I'm using now is mostly fine. I use mirtazapine, which is an antidepressant, but it can also be used as a sleeping medication. I forgot the word for it there. And I use that as a sleeping medication to help me fall asleep, and I take it in the evenings and it works sometimes. But yeah, I have issues falling asleep. I also wake up easily 10 times at night, just waking up without doing anything. So I just had to take a quick break. The joy of it all. Let me see, I stopped at insomnia. Yeah, I have issues falling asleep. I wake up a lot during the night. It's fun, and it's so bad that if I forget to take my sleeping pill, I will literally be up at 3 in the morning wondering, what am I doing awake? What's going on? And I will look over at my pill case and see that it's still full, and I'm like, it's ridiculous. And it's kind of, I find it to be an interesting combination of chronic fatigue and insomnia. Who decided that they'd go together? Because I want a refund. It's not fun. Next on my list is muscle weakness, and I have it coupled with a weak grip and inability to properly move my limbs when I'm exhausted. But I have muscle weakness, so I get periods, depending on how I'm doing, where I can't lift anything. I can't hold a glass in my hands. Nope. My phone will go blah straight through. It's currently hooked onto my charger, which is why I wouldn't go further up, and I can't lift anything. It will also be combined with the fact that I can't walk. I can't stand up for long enough. I will literally be wobbling trying to get out of bed. I usually say that, well, I haven't said it aloud to a lot of people, but the reason I use a wheelchair when I'm going out for the most part is part of the fatigue is that I can't walk for very long, I can't stand up very long, but it also sort of combines with muscle weakness as well as tachycardia, which I get if I'm standing for too long, where if I stand for too long I will literally pass out. I will be in so much pain that I will be unable to lift my legs off of the ground, so I can't take a step. I will fall to the floor, my heart rate will spike, and it's just all over not fun. And also due to the fatigue and post-exercise outsearch, and what's the name for that? I always forget it. It would be in the description box. But it's one of the symptoms of ME is that you need prolonged rest after doing anything, and it's not always enough to get you sort of back to baseline. And for me, walking is one of those things. It's extremely exhausting. I am always completely knocked out afterwards. I can't move for a good part of it. I will literally be in bed or on the couch unable to move. I can't think straight. It literally impacts everything I do because it takes so much of my energy just to stand upright and be able to walk and get from A to B, that I forget who I am, I forget where I am, I lose the ability to walk entirely, I can't move, I literally can't do anything because of the fatigue that comes with it, which is why I use the chair, and it's been a lifesaver. It's the only reason why I'm able to actually go outside and enjoy my time outside without feeling like I'm dying, and knowing that I'm not going to have to pay going to the grocery store for the next 3 days by not being able to move. It's a lifesaver and I'm so happy that I have it. And the next one is lightheadedness and tachycardia if I stand for too long. Lightheadedness, I get dizzy if I'm standing up for too long, and tachycardia is just a fast heart rate. My heart rate just spikes. It's fun, said absolutely no one. Normally when you go from seating or lying down up to standing, your heart rate's going to spike whilst it adjusts the blood pressure to get, you know, the blood to your head, and after a little bit it's going to go back down to normal heart rate for the person who is standing. Mine doesn't go back down, it just stays high and just gets higher and higher and higher, and it becomes extremely uncomfortable, and that coupled with lightheadedness and nausea, it literally feels like I'm going to pass out if I stand for too long. And for me, if I'm having a bad day, too long is about a minute, and on good days, and last year I was actually able to walk for several minutes, I was able to go on short walks with breaks, I was able to do a lot of things because my health had gotten a bit better. I've lost pretty much all of that now. I can't really stand up for very long anymore, I can't walk very long. I try, and I still do, you know, do physical therapy exercises at home to try, I don't want to say regain mobility, because mobility just isn't all walking, and for me I'm very content with the chair and having that, because otherwise I wouldn't be able to go out for longer than maybe 15 minutes, which is my current max. I can go for a short trip at the grocery store as long as I have a cart, because I can support myself on the cart. They're great, but like anything else I have to use the chair, otherwise I know I'm A, not going to be able to enjoy myself, and I'm going to have to rush through anything, hope to anything that there's not a queue that I have to be in anywhere, because otherwise I'm going to fall, and I'm going to fall to the floor and not be able to get up. Those are the symptoms that I remembered, and I hope it sort of painted a picture to help with giving you an idea of how my health is. I sleep between 8 and 12 hours a night. I've also been able to mostly sleep at night now. I used to, when I first got sick, sleep during the day and be awake at night because the day was so exhausting that I couldn't be awake through it. Now I sleep throughout the night mostly, thanks to medication and help, and I can't really function on less than 8 hours of sleep. I will be so exhausted that I can't do anything. When it comes to eating, I prepare roughly, I would say maybe half to a third of my meals myself. Everything else I have to have help with. Someone else has to make it and bring it to me, and it is what it is. It's something that I'm working on getting better at, and something that I have done. I'd started doing it this year and I'm going to go back to it, is meal prepping certain meals for myself. So for me I mainly meal prep lunch, because that's the meal that I have to prepare for myself when I'm home alone, and I usually make a salad because it's just there and all I have to do is pile it into my bowl, put dressing on and eat it, and it's delicious, and I love salads. My stomach doesn't do that much, so I have to put other things with it, but meal prepping is something that helps me. I want to continue doing it and do it more. So if you have good recipes, preferably low FODMAP, that like you can meal prep and cook like a week's worth at once, preferably if it takes minimal chopping, less than an hour, and like the least amount of effort on my part as possible, leave them in the comments. I would love them. I need help preparing at least half of my meals myself. I don't go to school, I don't work. I probably leave the house maybe once or twice a week. The majority of those are physical therapy appointments. And if I don't have a physical therapy appointment in a week, I try to get to the grocery store just for a quick grocery shop, because it gives me the ability to work on what I do in physical therapy, which for me is a lot of walking and standing the correct way and using the correct muscles for those activities. And it gives me a place to train that and do that with aids. Sometimes the rollator comes with me, sometimes I can use the carts at the store and hold on to them and use them as support. In the last couple of months I haven't. I literally went to my first grocery store yesterday. I've been to the post office twice, but I went outside shopping for the first time yesterday. And yeah, I was in my chair because it was the longest shop, and it was weird. It was strange and nerve-wracking, but it is what it is. But because of the pandemic, I've been self-isolating for the majority of it. I have been at home. I have cancelled physical therapy, and also physical therapy was cancelled for majority of April, I think, or the entirety of April and majority of May. Any non-essential anything pretty much was closed. So no physical therapy. I also chose just not to go to the grocery store. It was fine, and that's sort of how it's been. I don't really do much during the day. I try to film videos and edit them when I can, and I'm currently trialing an activity calculator, which is a thing I'm doing with an occupational therapist, where I have written down all the things that I do, I've ranked them, and then and essentially everything is given points, and then we've found my baseline in terms of how many points I can use a day. And I'm now playing with that, trying to figure out if it's too much, too little, sort of where I am, and trialing it. And it's fun and also difficult, I've figured out, because my baseline number is at 5, and I'm trialing 5 at the moment. I can use 5.5 if I want to, or 6, depending on what I feel like. I'm currently trying 5, and it's been a massive failure. I've managed to stay at 5 or below once in the last 2 weeks. It's fun, and it's also different now due to the pandemic, and also because it's the summer holidays, so everything is a little bit different. But I'm trialing that so that I can have a bit more structure in my day, but also so that I don't spend all my energy at once, and so that I can actually get through my entire day and do all of the things that I want to do. It's strange, but also kind of nice in a way, being told that yes, you don't have more than this to spend in terms of energy. Don't do it. Don't push yourself. Try, if you can find a way to make it work, try that, and if you need external help, we can provide. It's been nice actually being listened to and having someone believe me. It's been really nice. I don't really know what else to say. I already feel like I've rambled, and I don't really know what this video was supposed to be, but my health has not been great. The point I was actually going to make was I have about 2 to 4 hours a day when I'm not lying horizontal, and in those 2 to 4 hours I have to fit everything I do. I have to fit washing my body, washing my face, brushing my teeth, going to the bathroom, getting dressed, making food, eating food, listening to audiobooks, watching YouTube, filming, editing, uploading, cleaning, anything that isn't done lying flat, which is the only things I do lying flat is listen to your audiobooks and YouTube. Everything has to fit in 2 to 4 hours, and it's very difficult to making it fit there, and that's why I've really been enjoying the activity calculator that I'm using, because it gives me a visual of, okay, you need more rest in between, and maybe you can make this longer, this shorter, try and find ways to make it manageable. And I'm currently not managing it well, but I also think with help I can actually manage more. I just need to do it in the right way. And that's part of the reason why I wanted to make the video and why I wanted to start this series, because I feel like I'm at the moment starting at rock bottom. My health hasn't been this bad in a while. It just is not good at the moment. I have a lot of fatigue. I'm dealing with more pain than usual. A lot of that I think is just because I've been out of physical therapy now for 3-4 months, and it's having an impact on me. I've also been sick for a large part of this year. I had a viral infection in January. I got something again in March, not COVID though. I think it was the flu or just a cold. I tend to get them at least a couple of times a year and it's never fun. It's knocked me out, and I think starting now, which is where I'm at the bottom, feels like a good thing because it gives me something to look back on. But I also want to, in this whole series, which is going to be just a standing one, I'm going to make a video whenever I want to about my disability in general, and just other things. So I know I want to do one about the aids that I have, both the ones that are thought about as like mobility aids and other aids to make living easier, but also things such as the water bottle. I have this train, which are from IKEA, and just little things that make my life easier to live and have helped me. I also want to do vlogs where I take you through a day or a week or a weekend and just show what I do and sort of, in a way, my limitations, because it's going to give me a place where I can see if I have improved or not. I want to do videos about makeup relating to disability, so makeup styles and types of makeup that I can't really do and that I struggle with a lot, the stuff that I do use a lot and the stuff that has helped. I have filmed one today about my accessible base, which is my 5-product exemption from the No Buy Year, because there are products that I find very easy to use and I sort of need them at all time whenever I want to do makeup, but I don't have all that energy to spend going through all of the steps. It sort of gets me where I want to do quick and easy with minimal amounts of pain, minimal amounts of fatigue, because I can do it in usually about 15 minutes or less. I have filmed that video where I put it on, talked about why I've chosen the products. It should be up next week, I think. I'm not sure when these videos are going up. I'm currently trying to pre-film as many as I can in 2 days before going to the cabin for 4 weeks. So there might be a couple of weeks in July where there's just not 2 videos. We will see how I can manage to sort everything out. But I think that's everything I wanted to talk about today. If you have any questions about my health, my disabilities, how I live and whatnot, or if there's anything you want me to talk about or want to see, comment them down below. I can't promise anything, but I will look into it. Maybe I can do that. And I hope this video was somewhat informative. If you have sat through it all, thank you. It's mostly for myself to look back on and have sort of like a, this is where I am right now and this is, you know, I can look back on in the future. Thank you so much for watching and I will see you soon. Bye!